Thanks for watching this week's show. Of course, you can catch all of our previous episodes and join in on the discussion at our website, CosmicRadio.TV/RetroFunTime. Heck, let us know what we're doing. Hit us up on Twitter at RetroFunTime. Give us your comments. We're here to listen to you. And I can't wait to show you next week's episode. Obviously, we did a crazy intro by Matthew Frazier, a guy that does all the visual stuff, and I can't wait till you see this next episode. I even told Matthew about this. It's so crazy. You know we're covering Mega Man 3, so I figure why not have this? Why not have me just warp right onto Rush, the Rush jet, fly around a bit in the level, go take care of.
Just can't seem to grow up. I said I just can't seem to grow up. But you know what? What? I don't think I want to. All right, now follow me here. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Retro Fun Time. I'm your host, Roberto Villegas, and we are concluding our look at the Mega Man series with today's game. I know we haven't looked at all the Mega Mans, and yes, I am aware of we have 3 more to go on the Nintendo and a whole slew of them on the Super Nintendo, but I figure that these 3 should be a good example of what Mega Man brings to the table and what we can learn, of course, from the entire series as a whole. So without further ado, here we go with the 3rd in the series, Mega Man 3. Mega Man 3, or known as Rockman 3 in Japan, is the 3rd game in the Mega Man series. Dr. Wily is back, but this time he's reformed and is helping Dr. Light create a peacekeeping robot named Gamma. Robot Masters in charge of the mining worlds go berserk and steal the 8 power crystals for Gamma. With his new robotic canine named Rush, it's up to Mega Man to stop the new robots. The game adds a new slide mechanic and a new reoccurring character of Proto Man. Riding on the success of Mega Man 2, 3 would sell over 1 million copies and would be released on a number of other game platforms throughout the years. Alright, it is time for some Mega Man 3, and I prefer to start with Magnet Man to put you guys into the right way. Why Magnet Man? I don't know. I always did. Surprisingly enough, Mega Man 3 is the only Mega Man that I've actually owned in my entire life. As much as I talk about how much I love Mega Man, I never owned Mega Man 1. I mentioned I played Mega Man 2 at a good friend's house, my friend Nick, back in the day. And Mega Man 3 is the one I owned on the cartridge. And I still adore this game. Of course, Mega Man 2, as we mentioned, was linchpin, and a lot of things. Mega Man 3 adds a couple stuff. For example, you can now slide, and it definitely allows you to do interesting mechanics with it, especially when it came to getting around stuff. This is also something I wanted to also address when it comes to Mega Man, is the introduction of this guy. I think he's just known as like the mysterious masked man in terms of Mega Man, but we later on learn, of course, this one I think actually in the manual, the Nintendo's US side, they introduced him as Proto Man. Proto Man, of course, being Dr. Wily's essentially prototype for the Mega Man line of series, or Rockman line of robot series. Whole history behind him, whole good storyline that would later get built up in terms of him having a experimental power supply that was bad, that he got scared, that Dr. Light was going to operate on him and change him, and then sort of turns out he wasn't. And he became a part of Dr. Wily's side of things. He is a quintessential gray character in my opinion, and one of my favorite characters in the Mega Man universe, to be honest. I love the idea of a character that's sort of gray that can be both good and bad depending on when he needs to be. And in the end of the day, he's a good character, but he's a renegade. He plays by his own rules. He's the first anti-hero. God damn it, I missed that. Usually don't. Another interesting thing they introduced, which I will show you right now, just to kind of illustrate, is that of Rush. Rush here would replace the items, to be honest. If you notice in Mega Man 2 we had a bunch of items and things like that. Rush would replace that and become certain things such as Rush Coil. Poof! And you can jump higher. We're just going to kind of play around here. We'll definitely give you a whole exploration of this levels. There's a lot that goes into Mega Man for sure. I'm terrible at this game, as always. As much as I adore this game, in terms of mechanics, I mean, let's just be honest. Two set the stage. Two set everything, and 3 is just purely let's up the ante more and make even more most. For example, if you notice, we're in Magnet Man stage. and you see a whole bunch of crisscrossing wires around. You see actually magnets in the level. More importantly, you see, I've always done it this way because this is a quick way to do it, but there's probably a better way to do it here. I'm taking advantage of the way the Nintendo processes things to get that there, how sprite detection works. But anyways, you notice, for example, there is a electromagnet here. There's a battery. There's a Dr. Wily battery, for Lord's sakes, there. Which I was reading the storyline for Mega Man 3 because if you notice, we didn't have an intro like we did in Mega Man 2. And apparently, the reason we're all fighting these 8 Robot Masters is that Dr. Wily has recently reformed, and him and Dr. Light are creating a peace robot named Gamma. It's this giant robot, which, spoiler alert, you end up facing at the end because Dr. Wily is not reformed, as he never is. There we go. And so apparently these 8 Robot Masters have gone rogue, and it's up to you to take care of business in these mining games. It's a weird story, much like a lot of good video games are, to be honest. But in any case, what's interesting is that I never knew the storyline until recently, because they didn't have the same introduction thing that they did the other one. What I find really cool about Mega Man 3 is that if Mega Man 2, started setting up the idea of having backgrounds and certain kind of themes and levels, Mega Man 3 continued that legacy in terms of having different levels or different kind of environments and so like that. It shows, as you notice, we have now kind of a depressed ground here for no apparent reason, which I don't know why that's there, to be honest. Probably something to do with Mega Man, Rockman 3, more or less. Here we go. Magnet Man has his own special powers. He's, of course, gonna kick my ass. We're gonna try to kick his ass before. As I said before, I'm terrible at this game, but, whatever. Definitely slide mechanic adds something interesting to the game. I mean, it adds a different way of playing the game because you start sliding around for speed's sake. A lot of speed runs you just see sliding around, and that's all they do. And there's my death. The one thing I dig about Mega Man 3 is that they got really ambitious with the sprites. I think it's because they use a bigger mapper on Mega Man 3 than they did in the previous Mega Mans. Regardless, they by this point in time, we've basically Nintendo had already learned had definitely learned the power and limitations of the Nintendo and how that worked out. So for this game in particular, we had definitely learned a whole bunch. We are out of time for our first part of gameplay, so we're gonna take a break here. I'm gonna keep getting everyone else ahead in Mega Man here. When we come back, we'll play some more Mega Man 3, but in the meantime, why don't you check out our final part of our little analysis on the little Nintendo gray box and all the in-depth things of it. With a look at the processor inside the damn thing, how you actually program a Nintendo just a little bit, and kind of why the heck we even looked in depth at the Nintendo in the first place.
So we've covered almost everything inside the little gray box, but have yet to talk about the chip that made the whole thing possible. The 2A03 8-bit microprocessor, specifically produced by Ricoh as a MOS 6502 variant. To avoid patent payments, the Nintendo version omitted the binary coded decimal mode, which prevented it from handling decimal points and negatives. In terms of programming, to get the most out of the machine, a majority of games are done in assembly. The NES has one accumulator and 2 index registers for looping through data. High-level languages tend to run slower on the NES, but some programmers have designed high-level languages that translate to 6502 assembly. So why is it that I went into explaining all the things that made the Nintendo Entertainment System? The games are what matters, right? Well, I wanted to show you that just as much creativity and hard work goes into making the system and cartridges as does designing the worlds. By looking at the system and all the things that make it a whole, we get a better appreciation for that little gray box and how far we've come in gaming and console design. I want to show you all that there's more to the Nintendo than just simply playing games. I also want to instill the following upon you. The next time you look at a console, whether it be an Xbox One, a PS4, or a Wii U, I want you to remember there's a lot of work that goes in those little machines and a lot of designs that go in that little box that gives us so much joy. So remember, next time you look at a console, there's a lot going on and a lot more than just simply the game you're playing.
All right, let's get back to playing some Mega Man 3. Now, normally, of course, I will just start in Dr. Wily's stage at this point in time, but I figure, let's kind of flash back in time a bit. Let's kind of look at the other levels. Plus, I love the way the menus, Mega Man's eyes move as they go around. I love that so much. So we were playing Magnet Man already. Let's look at Spark Man. Spark Man is really, actually Gemini. The Shadow of the Gemini. That doesn't matter. Let's play Gemini Man first. Let's give some level design ideas. Yes, Gemini Man. Music's also top-notch as hell. Again, Capcom was, at this point in time, not saying that they haven't been recently, but just right here at this point, they were firing on everything. And this is where you get into wild and crazy level design. Sure, I'm gonna probably die very soon, but whatever. Oh, be helpful. Yay. If we just played smart, we'll be fine. Playing smart is for sissies. So, what's interesting about all this is that, I haven't touched on all the Mega Mans at all. I've only touched on the first 3 of the Nintendo end. Oh, Jesus, Mega Man goes on. Up to 6 on the Nintendo, 7 on the Super Nintendo, 8 on the PlayStation 1, 9 on the Xbox, PSN, and Wii, 10 on the Xbox, PSN, and Wii. That's not even to include all the Mega Man X spin-offs that happened, Mega Man Legends, that happened on the PlayStation, same, Mega Man 64, the Mega Man EXE series, the actual individual Mega Man games of the Game Boy Advance. Mega Man goes on in so many different ways after the NES cycle of games that it's mind-boggling if you think about it. Because of the fact that it was just, I'm still amazed at the fact that 2 is the one. But regardless of the fact, I'm only showing a brief. Here's Proto Man. Gotta fight him, right? Not today. Proto Man's like, you've earned your way through here. Yeah. There we go. What I always loved about this was I always loved these things, the tadpoles. I always dug it. I'm always terrible at it too. I'm trying to get it right. Sorry about that. I would get that mystery box, but we don't have enough room to go. But I love the design of this level. I love the design of Gemini Man's level. See? Sliding fun. You don't have to deal with all that crap there. Bust out Rush Coil here. Right there, buddy. There you go, Rush. Poof. Oh, sorry about that. We'll just skip that. Poof. I get that anyways. But I loved how imaginative these levels got. I love how they just got even zanier and crazier and wackier and kookier. I always thought that they did a dynamite job on level design in this game. And they got so much more creative. Some people would say the enemies got a bit ridiculous in terms of names, but they got creative in terms of powers. Like, for example, 4 would introduce the Mega Buster in terms of the charging ability. You'd have different things of, I forget what the bird character's name is, but you'd have Bird Robot. You'd have so much stuff happening that made for just such an interesting kind of thing that it is one of those Capcom properties that it will always be near and dear to my heart, and it will always be this sort of weird thing. And learning as much as I have in recent times, just on all the stuff that went in this game, and how close it was to this never happening is boggling my mind. And I'm kind of glad my kid self never knew how close it was, because if I did, maybe I would have, bought Mega Man a lot more. But it's just so ridiculous. Let's actually try hopping the other side. I think something happens. I don't remember. Let's find out. Let's just experiment. Okay, rush coil. Woo! We're on the side. Still going. At least we learned. Let's see. I'm gonna actually try to get that mystery thing. But yeah, ultimately, I'm kind of keeping quiet on Mega Man 3 because there's really, once you play Mega Man 2 and kind of analyze that, you've really analyzed the mechanics of Mega Man. And you're in a point in time now where it's become less about talking about the mechanics of the game and more talking about the thematics of the game and kind of where things would go and how things would be done. That becomes more important. It becomes less important about the fact that it's a platformer and you're fighting 8, master robots. It's more of that, well, you're fighting these 8 robots in these certain different ways, and you're doing different things with them, and you have different abilities and different powers to tackle them. And that becomes a more pointful thing about the whole series, and that's really where I think the power that is Mega Man, or sort of the thing, because again, look at this crap. We have giant snow penguins, because that seems cool, and it does. If it was cool for us kids, it was cool. It was like, what the hell's going on here as kids? And a lot of people take this sort of thing for granted and take everything that's become Mega Man for sort of, yeah, of course, it's Mega Man. Why wouldn't it be that crazy and that zany? But at the time, this was sort of new and exciting. This was different. This was like, what? We have this, here, if at this point in time, if you had Rush can actually turn into a submarine and you could actually go underwater at this point in here, and it would just be like, what? You can go underwater, you can take a sub, and we take for granted the idea of Rush because Rush was just sort of there, but at this point in time, Rush was a new thing, and it made for this, crazy little robot thing. This crazy robot dog that became your best buddy and your pal and your mate if you're, British or whatever. But it required a lot of understanding these things. Oh man, all these memories are coming back for this game. But regardless of the fact, I adore this game. It is definitely one of my favorite Mega Mans. I think it's one of the better soundtracks too, and there we go. And with that, we are out of time for gameplay here, so stay tuned while I give you my final summation, not on just Mega Man 3, but on the entire Mega Man series as a whole and what we can learn from this series of games.
When it comes to Mega Man 3, what is there to say? It plays like Mega Man 2 with slight tweaks like sliding and gives the item a personality with Rush. It even adds a new recurring character of Proto Man that would come back in future games. It had a great base of Mega Man 2 to build upon. I realize that by stopping here that we've left a huge chunk of games on the NES to look at, along with the titles on the Super Nintendo, PlayStation, Game Boy, and Game Boy Advance. We could dedicate a full season to this show simply on Mega Man and maybe get through all the games and spin-offs such as Mega Man Legends and the Mega Man X series. I chose these 3 games because they teach a lesson any creative in any field should learn. If you think you've got a good idea, don't give that up. Sometimes it takes a second iteration, sometimes it takes a little bit more polish. If the guys who worked on Mega Man just gave up on the whole thing because of poor sales, who knows what would happen to the Blue Bomber? But because they saw a great concept and knew they could pull it off, they kept working on that, polishing the code, the mechanics, and making it the best damn game they could. Though we're not all game designers, we all have things that we create in our lives. So just remember, if you know you've got a great idea, keep working on that thing. Who knows? It could be the next Mega Man.
Thanks for watching this week's show. Of course, you can catch all of our previous episodes and join in on the discussion at our website, CosmicRadio.TV/RetroFunTime. And also, if you prefer, you can check us on iTunes now. Just look up Retro Fun Time. Download us to your iPhone, your little iPod device, whatever you do to consume podcasts and medium is your call. We're also on Screw Attack, so make sure to check us out there. The link should be here in the video. So if you prefer to catch your videos on that website, we're there. In fact, we're everywhere you want to be. YouTube, Blip TV, our own website, Screw Attack, iTunes. We're everywhere, so no excuse into missing an episode. So that's it for today, so tune in next time, but do remember, it ain't art unless we prove it to be. Take care.